everybody who's been tuned in, thank you for your time. I guess I would invite people who have a question to turn off your mute and identify who you're asking the question of, and ask away. Don't be shy.
Audie, are you going to have those slides available anyway?
Yeah, I think I can get the slides. If you go to ethicalfields.com, there's a web page called The Very Long Page on Community Wealth Building, and it's all those slides, the text in one page. Yeah. I'll find it and copy paste it into the chat too if you want.
I think Robert had his hand up.
Yeah. You talked about there's the ABC, there's the Preston Network, and all those other types of community wealth building.
Yeah.
How would a local community choose which path to go down? We're talking in our local Chamber of Commerce now about integrating some community wealth building practices, and how do we point them in the right direction?
I don't think there's one method that is going to be able to be prescribed to a community. Yeah. So the smart specialization works came out of the European Union work around sustainable agriculture initially, and the Mondragon came out of Spain, and ABCD came, as Dee mentioned, out of the civil rights movement in America. And so depending on the culture and the context, you know, the right process will emerge. My argument is that all of those processes need to take into account infrastructure, relationships, and enterprises at a foundation level, that they've got these operational levels and transactional levels, but in all of them, you will find culture and context, whether they describe it as culture and context, it's the pinnacle of what you're doing community wealth building for. If you don't have that right, none of the other stuff works. So a community is best, I think, personally, to find the process that works best for them, rather than be told, you know what, you're Australian, you should go for the Australian originated one, not the Preston model, that only works in the UK. Because it doesn't, like, it'll be contextualized. Yeah.
I'd like to just add to that, you can pull it out of your community as well. Some of the asset-based community development stuff we've been using, the primary one really, it's called the 5 H's, and it's your heart, your hand, your heel, and a few things. But you write down this list, fill out a little questionnaire, and then you pop it up on a chart on the wall, and it winds up with a already built list of what people are really interested in, what they actually know about, and a whole set of teachers who can teach the people who want to know about it, and they're all lined up together. And it's this simple thing, it's really elegant, and that can draw out what you've got in your community, what they're interested in, and give you a possible pointer. It's one idea anyway.
Do you find that existing structures such as local government, taxation structures, etc., can really hinder this progress, or do people sort of come around quite quickly?
Scotty or Dee, do you want to talk to that?
I think Dee would be best.
Can you just repeat the question? I'm not sure I quite grab what you're getting.
I'm just thinking, if you're trying to set up a sort of community structure and a community initiative in some way, I mean, we tried something in Mount Torrens, and in the end, a couple of us just set up a PTY Limited so we could actually do some stuff, because it was like impossible to get recognition, to trade, to have legal entity. So it was almost like everything was working against us. And since we've done that, you know, we got the Corporate Mutual Society gave us money to get a minibus for the community and stuff, and it's been great. And we will eventually transform into a cooperative, but that takes a lot of time. And so it's almost like the legal entities, even things to do with the council to actually do things, we just kind of hit loads of governance barriers that, and I'm just saying, are we just doing it wrong? Is there an easier way? Did we not start?
I don't think so. And I was talking to Wardy before everyone joined about our organisation. That for anyone who doesn't know, it's pronounced Jeder, but people say Jetta. It's whatever you want. In German, it means everyone. So it's the Everyone Institute. And I was just telling Wardy that even when we started, we were thinking, do we go the co-op route? Like, what do we do? Not really sure. Anyway, we're now a company, but our governance and our principles are based on next stage organizations. And for anyone who knows Frederick Laloux's work, the Teal organizations, very loosely and underpinned by sociocracy. So everything that we do is kind of made up as we go. And we just kind of fall forward. And what we've found in, if we're looking at funding, we're also NDIS registered, so we've got heavy compliance in there as well. Anything that we do, instead of it being a brick wall or someone saying to us, no, you can't do that, we're like, why? How can we push forward? And we find a way, or we find someone who can help us do that. In relation to communities, what I have seen happen, and it is usually circle based, you know, like sociocratic circles. There's a dynamic that shifts when circles get over 12 people in a circle, but there's this really amazing work that can be done by having a participatory leadership style of circle. And I really believe, and a bit like Scotty was saying, doing that head, hand, heart, heel, and human connection, you find this wealth of information that is already there in community, and that someone will know someone, or someone will already be a lawyer, or their sister is, or something. So yeah, we kind of fall forward in whatever way kind of best will get us to where we want to go, rather than the other way around. And so I think it's about kind of poking the system as big and hard as you can as well, but in a safe way. So I think it's something that it needs to be really intentional, and it's not always bloody easy. We've been operating for 8 years now, and we started off with one pillar, and that was our spirit of generosity. That was just what guided our business, just that one. And it's built up over the years. We've now got 4 pillars and a whole other stuff of the philosophy around us. But it's certainly not easy. People think it sounds like utopia, and it's just not.
Yeah, there was someone, I can't remember who, but they said the most important method to do anything is muddle your way through.
Yeah.
We used to say we put our ass instead of our heads, so when we get kicked, we go forward instead of brain damage. And and that led to more ass than class. But I mean, I am aware that it's past the hour. People might be wanting a lunch break, but I also am not kicking anybody out. We can keep going as long as the people are interested, as far as I'm concerned. So if there's more questions, there seems to be some questions around operationalizing and practical real life examples of, I'm not sure, Louise, would you mind directing that to either Dee or Scotty or myself, if you're there?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It was just more like just demonstrating how some of these things are working, you know, for any of you really, just in real life examples. That was all, but doesn't matter.
I'd like to talk about Malakuta, if that's all right. People familiar with their response post bushfire. They have had bushfires before and understood that the government response, or even the local government response, they're part of Gippsland and it's 3 hours from Malakuta to the Shire Council building. And they don't feel that the people in Gippsland local government quite understand the situation in Malakuta. So this year, after the fires, the state government, who look after the roads, offered to build them a new 6-lane bridge because that was going to provide, for, on GDP rationale, the greatest economic stimulus into that community. Now it was lockdown and the community had lost all the fencing around its sewage system. There were people with burnt out and non-fenced off properties, feral flora and fauna, lack of accommodation. And they took, obviously, the affront of like, what do we need a 6-lane bridged coming into Malakuta for? There's nothing for people to come into Malakuta for. We need to fundamentally take control of this. And so the Lynn Haywood, I believe, who's partners with Bruce Pascoe, helped the Abalone Cooperative engage the rest of the community. And they, through a series of community meetings, got 800 out of the 1,000 participants in the community to create an incorporated association. On that board of 12, there were 6 men, 6 women. The youngest was 22, the oldest was 78. They have entirely owned the contributions from federal, state and local governments coming into their community via that incorporated association so that they can take control and priority of their recovery. And it may look worse by a GDP metric if they don't get that bridge built, but I guarantee you they will feel more participation. The enterprises that come out of it will have a stronger loyalty and, you know, from their customers. There will be the capital stack of philanthropy will totally come around a community that and impact investors will totally come around a community that is bought in that way, more than they would as philanthropy and impact come around a government-led initiative. So that's an example of community wealth building in a crisis situation and a recent one that might be useful.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, I guess if you want to hear more about things that are happening, I don't know how we'll go here. It's just started to rain on my tin roof and there's lawnmowers. I'm surrounded by lawnmowers as well. Can you actually hear me?
Can.
Good, we'll give it a shot. So the Pre-Power Cooperative, it's a cooperative which is designed, as I was explaining before, one of these climate co-ops. So it's designed for community investment to buy and install renewable equipment on other people's houses. Then when they pay their bills to the co-op, part of that goes to paying back the investor. And you get a handsome return off it, which is better than superannuation. And if you're a customer, you get a 30% discount off whatever the basic grid price is. But this is used to form a local cooperative. And we're aiming to keep those cooperatives on a very local scale, so maybe 150 households max, so that you can actually know each other in some way. And it's very easy to create or split a local co-op and just form more and more local co-ops. And those co-ops all will put 20% of their earnings up into a central co-op, which does all the work. Because imagine if we've got a co-op for our housing and a co-op for our transport and a co-op for our energy and a co-op for our water and a co-op for this and a co-op for that. Each one of those is running a business, and you're going to be so busy having your finger in running all these businesses that you won't have any time to go to work to pay for all the damn businesses. So with each of them, if we make a local co-op really easy to run by federating upwards to an umbrella co-op and having them employ people and doing all the work and the organising and the insurance and everything we possibly can, then that makes it much easier. So yeah, that's our sort of thing. And then of course the profits will be divided between a fund which helps the members of the co-op to do further retrofits, which will A, reduce their energy consumption, and B, prepare them for further climate chaos. And the other one is a community investment fund, essentially, where people can apply to us to, it's like a grants fund. They can apply to us. If they meet our requirements, then they go on the list, and it's a participatory budgeting scheme from there.
Anybody else got some questions? Otherwise, we might wind up with thanks to Dee and Scotty. Great presentations, both of you. Great insights as well. And on behalf of NENA, thank you all. I hope you'll join us in the afternoon for the next set of sessions. They're going to be awesome. We're going to talk about hubs by sector and by region. And then we're going to have the last session. I'm looking forward to Ian McBurney's giving us a call to arms. And if there's somebody who's gone through the crucible and still smiled the whole way, then it's Beehive Cooperative and those founders. And I would encourage you all to stick around till the end of the day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Wardy.
Everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks, Wardy.